Alright, so right now we're down South London, outside the Coronet. We're going to check out our boy Majesty at a night called Siesta, or I should say a day party called Siesta. Started at 4 PM, finishes at 4 AM. Let's see how he gets down. What's happening, people? This is THEO LYS. Right now we're back with another episode of Life of an Entertainer. The guy sitting to my left right now, hailing from South London, one of the best promoters I feel in the scene right now, Mr. DJ Majesty.
What's going on, mate? How you doing?
I'm alright, you know, how you doing?
Couldn't be better.
Alright, so first of all, tell me how it all started, like where did it all start? Because you're a well-known guy. I know that always comes with history, so tell us where it all started.
What, just in terms of DJing or in regards to the promoting?
Well, hey, I know you're a very multi-branded guy, so let's say with the DJing, cause I think it always started with that. Because I know, for those who don't know, Mr. Pac-Man, back in the day, like, don't worry, obviously, but trust me, it's all good for people to know, like our audience to see. So,
well, yeah, it did start from back in the Gram days. I went by Pac-Man, did a few little bits and bobs here and there. I was in a crew Wolfpack, God's gift, all in one Maxton, couple of people. So obviously from that, I stopped doing that. Went down the uni route, got my degree in that, and then afterwards, the funky thing was about. So there was sort of kind of similarities between that and grime, I thought. Yeah. So I thought maybe I could kind of slip back in. So, but when I actually got into it, it wasn't really for me the actual music itself. I didn't think the production was of a high enough standard. So I kind of. A friend of mine, Beezer, he was...
W Beezer?
Yeah, W Beezer.
Very big producer from South London.
Yeah, Warren. Yeah, so he was doing his thing and he kind of said, look, P, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. Showed me a couple of stuff. So from there I kind of thought, oh, so there is a better quality there. So then I kind of delved deeper. And I kind of got in it from there, but obviously I thought Pac-Man's not really the name. Yeah,
branding wise, innit? You have to repackage yourself.
Exactly.
So Majesty comes, which I find interesting. So tell us the whole scenario, the persona with Majesty.
Well, to be honest, it was two things. There was a track that I liked by Mace that was called Majesty. So I was hammering that at the time. And then at the same time, obviously, I was thinking about changing my name. So obviously, if you call yourself the throne or the king of something, it kind of put me under a bit of pressure. So, and I think I perform better under pressure. So obviously, if I'd go out and DJ and play out and stuff, obviously I'd have to always, perform to my utmost best. So that was kind of why I thought, well, Majesty, you're at the top in it. So that was it, really.
High echelon, innit?
Exactly.
Don't know. Alright, like I always ask, like most of my people, who influenced you to get you to where you get to, like musically, musical thoughts, all of that, artists, what that?
Without sounding, big-headed or anything, I wouldn't say I've got any influence in regards to, the house music that I listen to or produce. But in regards to all my musical influences, there's loads of people like Larrell, Sadiq,
your R&B guy,
J Dilla. So when I make a tune, all of these sounds, there's certain tunes by Bananarama, Bangles, there's different people that influence me in different ways. You've got the arithmetic, so it's all different things that come into it. And then like moving forward in regards to, I wouldn't say influence, but aspirations maybe, that I look up to certain, that's where I would say I've got influences there and where I'd want to be, where I see myself as you know, success. Like, people still think, right, I'm doing well, but to me, I'm still there. Like, I've still got loads of places to go in my journey.
Yeah, I do agree, because I know you, like, from going back to the independence, like, you have always been on your graft. It's like, for mixed CDs, like, yeah, you've always done one, like, so you've always been on your graft. It's like, you don't like to stay in one place. It's like, you're consistent.
Well, I think staying humble is the main key to success.
Yeah.
So as far as you see it, as far as you can see to yourself, you haven't succeeded, you're always going to aspire to go further.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key. Like, obviously I'm always on the grind, looking for new music, doing more CDs, so on and so forth. So I'm always, you know, trying to get to that next level.
Alright, so I know people most know you for your events, because I know for a fact, like, a lot of girls, like, buff women, you get me, like, go to your events. Like, the thing is with me, like, I've known you, like, for a while, like, so when I was coming out in 2011, I know you was doing stuff like Audiowhore, and in 2012 we come out with Siesta, which are now big entities. Like, the thing is with me, which I'm always baffled is what's the difference? Like,
Alright, I was doing, obviously Audiowhore was there. That's a party that happens in the night time.
Yeah.
So then, if I looked at, there was a few day parties around here. So you had Crash, you got Secret Sundays, so on and so forth. There was a particular party, even if I go back further than that, when I went to Southport Weekender, and then all the chalet parties that were going on in the day. So I looked at that concept and thought, that's a good concept where, you know what, people love Southport Weekender on that basis. So why not do something similar to Audiowhore, but it takes place in the day? So then it covers, you know, some people work at nights, some people are parents. So if you can go out in the daytime, have a little boogie, go home, go to your work or whatever. That was basically the concept behind it and the thought process. Yeah,
that's the thing. I know it built because it's like, I've seen it. I think Siesta, most importantly, that was in 2012. And now, like, from the DJs you had before to the DJs you have now, like, what you had, Hot Since 82, MK, all that. How did that all come around? Because that is like a big step from a promoter's standpoint. That's a big responsibility, a high volume rave. So I'm like,
how did it go from there? As I said before, it's just about setting goals and having a target. It's just, the way I look at it is, if you're playing a football match, just imagine a football match where there was no goals. How would you score? How would the game end? It couldn't end. So you've got to have a target for you to reach to score a goal. So we always thought, well, how can we alleviate? How can we grow? How can we get bigger? And that's basically what it is.
That's the thing. You always have to have that
vision.
So, boom.
'Cause I can tell. 'Cause I can tell. 'Cause I can tell. 'Cause I can tell you don't want
So, mention Audiowhore. Around March times, like, you actually done a weekender. Like, talk to the audience about that, because that's actually like a big responsibility, and what I heard was a big night. Like, so elaborate to all of us.
I would say out of all the events that we've done, it's probably the most successful thing we've done. To have an event on a Friday, then the following day on the Saturday. Obviously, it's a lot to be responsible for and to execute. So we've done really well there. We had Route 94, we had Rush Yellop, Max Chapman, Left Wing Cody. That's just to name a few, really. It was a really, really good night. So if you missed out, whoever missed out, I don't know when the next time we'll do something like that. Maybe next year, who knows?
I know a lot of women come. Do you know what? I do find women very intriguing, like, you get me? So they do talk. I'm not even lying, like, I'll be lying, but a lot of girls, when they do ask me, it's like, oh, Siesta. Obviously, like, oh, when Siesta. Like, I do my own events, by the way, but obviously as a raver's interest, they'll be like, alright, Siesta, why? Because it always gets mentioned, like it's a popular product in our community. So yeah, man, I do give you props on that. So statistically was good, but the best one, what was the best one?
In regards to Siesta.
Siesta, Audiowhore, I know you do a lot, mate.
I'd probably say I'd have to give a shout out to my agent there, Dave. Milk and sugars. Probably Siesta last year, bank holiday in August. And we had MK there.
Ooh.
Just before he went #1, so that was a good call there.
Yeah, what was the move on that? 'Cause that is a very big look on behalf of your brand.
Basically, we had Army and Edge and Dance booked initially. There's a double booking there, so they couldn't do it. So it was in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah.
So MK's agent Letitia. She's a lovely lady.
Hi, Letitia.
Yeah, I got my agent to speak to her on my behalf, and he just basically thrashed out the deal for us. It was done within 12 hours.
THEO.
So normally, like, you know, she drives a hard bargain, which any good agent does. So, you know, but he's a cool guy as well.
Yeah.
That's Mark Devonport, he's a manager.
Yeah.
So he's there. That whole camp's cool, man. So got nothing but good things to say about him, really.
Building to the success of Majesty so far, back in 2012, you teamed up with Larrell. For those who don't know, was it Flukes from Crazy Cousins?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, big up Larrell. But you done a song with Kelly the Rock as well, featured, and it's called They Want You. So talk to the audience about that, because that was an interesting scenario.
Basically, with that track, obviously he had made Serious People at that point, and I had made I Can Tell.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a thing where we thought, we'll do a little collaboration.
Yeah. And
the funny thing is, even though working together, two good producers independently working together,
yeah,
it's still, that track is probably, out of any track, and I probably could speak for Flukes as well.
Yeah.
It's probably the longest track it's ever taken us to make. It took us maybe about, I'd say about 50 hours.
50 hours?
Yeah.
So that's 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Damn.
Obviously over separate sessions, maybe blocks of maybe 5 or 6 hours of time.
Yeah.
So we made that. So we made the instrumental, and then we had Kelly's vocals. Like, she comes to the studio, she was just la 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 la, that sort of stuff. And she had all these little doodles.
Yeah.
And we just took bits and pieced it together and made that. So she didn't even sing it like that.
Okay, it's a good song, because I know you done a video, even got a Beatport release, Tracksource release. You get me? Shameless promo. You get me? It's out now, is it?
Yeah.
See, there you go. You get me?
Plug.
Yeah, plug. No, you get me? So yeah, man. So that was a good song in 2012. Like, what was the whole feedback on it? What do you feel on that song?
The feedback generally, I think, was very, very good. It was positive. Didn't really get any negative feedback. Yeah. So I'd say it was good. I think it just needed a bit more from the label, support from the label that it was released on. Yeah. And a bit more PR put into it, and I think it would have did better. But can't cry over spilt milk. It's did what it did. It gave me a bit more exposure. Same with Flukes as well. Yeah. So can't complain really.
Yeah, I still play that tune. It's 2012 and what? So I know you use the name Audiowhore quite frequently. I know people may see it for just a raving brand, but for those who like do their research on music, also knows Audiowhore's also a label. And you've worked with such guys as Matt Fear, Clouded Judgment, Canal Beats, this goes on. So talk us through how did that all come about and all that.
The first track was a track by MA1. My partner, he had said, I think we should sign this track, bring it out, blah blah blah. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's go for it, because obviously he's ran labels before. He did a little A&R thing at XL and stuff like that. So it was a natural progression for us. Like, we're around the artists, so the whole, like, there's certain things that obviously without giving away, you know.
You don't want to leak.
Without giving away certain things, but if you think about it naturally, you've got the rave, so that way you've got access to the DJs.
Yeah.
So my relationship with the DJs is obviously a lot different to some of the other relationships that people may have with the DJs. Obviously, I'm a producer myself.
Yeah.
So from there, if you've got that access to them on a musical level, because a lot of things are about relationships. It isn't always about, you know, the green stuff.
Yeah, you always got to have a good rapport with them behind the scenes.
You got a rapport with them. It ain't always about the money. So once you've got that good relationship there, you can then, you know, sometimes give a phone call. I need this favour. Can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
So from the rave point of view, if the music from the label is growing, then ultimately it grows the rave as well.
There you go.
And that's vice versa. So it's a good platform for both.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you've got a few releases coming out.
Well, my next release is Endless Words. That's coming out on Vintage Music label.
Yeah, I know you've got like collaboration with Creature, Clinton Hawker. Yeah, see, I've done my research.
Yeah, you got Matt Fear on there. You got Mark Jenkins as well from Hot Creations doing a remix as well. Yeah. So it's a good little EP. Max Chapman was supposed to do a remix, but I think the cut-off date was nearing too close, so he couldn't do it. So he's going to do another remix for me on something else.
Yeah, so talk us through that. That is a big look for yourself. Like, when is that due to be released?
That's coming out, I believe I'm not sure on the exact date. I think it's the second week of June.
Alright.
So the second Monday in June, I think it is.
Shameless promo. Don't know. But in the mind frame of Majesty, like, what's your views and opinions of the underground independent circuit right now? Because I know it's a graph for you. I know that, I've seen you for time. That I have my own opinions, which you're gonna find out soon. You get me? But what's like your opinions on the circuit, like about how it is for yourself, what you feel about others, like anything?
To be fair, the underground circuit for me it's a very good platform, because when you go out, you perform in those environments. Majority of the ravers there, they're not the easiest to please.
Yeah.
So it hones in on your DJing skills. Like, every tune has to be on point, every mix, and so on and so forth. So I think it's good practice in regards to, you know, fine tuning, practicing your skills on a live platform. So in that aspect, it's really good. It's growing. I think this current generation of ravers is probably the best raving generation, I'd say, since garage. So I think it's a good time, to be fair.
Yeah, like the 18 to 34 demographic, like, is really showcased a lot, because you see the shapes. A lot of people do know their music and they do know their DJs, and you're one of them. So you didn't get an overnight like pass. I know, like, through 2012 it was a graph for you.
I definitely didn't. I'd say between now and maybe 2011, I've done maybe 150,000, could be more, in mixing
copies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a consistent.
Yeah, so it's even still now. At any point, especially I'd say definitely 2012 I'd say I was in the majority of anyone who listens to house music, I was in that car. So, like, that was one thing I learned from a couple of DJs, but I think I just took it further. There's a couple of DJs that were always pressing out CDs like Prempeh, Carla Series, THEO. They were guys that were doing a lot of CDs. And if you look at it now, like the impact that we've had on it, especially Audiowhore and Siesta in regards to that, it is, if you look, you've got even Rush Yellop, Jamie Jones, they're all doing CDs now and doing their promo CDs for their events. So it must have worked to some degree. If you know the guys that I were looking up to now that do say hello now.
No, I like to hear that. Saying that as well, I know you've done like a lot of CDs, even for the events that I've been on. That's not necessarily Audiowhore Siesta. So, what is your favourite one? 'Cause I know you've done a lot. I know I've got a lot at my ass. I did like the Siesta meets House in the Street on that one. That was a good CD and a good event. I was on it. You get me? So, like, kudos to you and Lance. You get me? So, but talk us through like your favourite one. And
I would say the one that had the most impact, I would say what I saw that kind of changed the scene, I would say, in regards to how DJs played and the sound that they was playing, it'd probably be 2013 Audiowhore's second birthday. Yeah. Because majority of the time, I always hold back the tracks. Yeah. So when I do a mix CD, the songs that are on that CD are generally, because I did a tweet about that, all the tracks that are on my CD I don't care about. Yeah. And I think some of the DJs took that quite personal. Yeah. And when I mean I didn't care about it, I meant in the sense of I've had it for so long, if you want to start playing that now, it has no impact on my playlist whatsoever. So when I do a mix CD, the tracks generally tend to be maybe 4 to 5 months old. Yeah. So by the time people start playing it, I've already so far ahead. So the point of what I was getting back to is with that mix CD, I didn't think like that. Yeah. All the songs that I was currently playing at that moment in time, I just put on there, and it was just non-stop bangers. Yeah. So that was that. Yeah. And then that one got probably the most acclaim, I'd say.
Yeah, so you kind of ahead with your sound, like it's like you don't cling to a song. No. And that's not because of arrogancy. I think that's more because of work rate, how you know it's a very, as much as it's an evolving circuit, people do watch each other. We have to be realists on that. Yeah. So you can't always have that same old nostalgic sound. Exactly. Admittedly, as much as I'm a participant DJ, I do think there's DJs out there that kind of emulate each other, which is kind of good, but then it's how they embrace it as well. So you're overall good, a nice guy, but a lot of people are arrogant, are the ones that, like, smile in your face, but then don't salute you or anything. It's a bit placid. But no, you do your thing though. You've DJ'd like all around the London circuit, Birmingham, Midlands, sent to those lot because they're tough supporters, salutes. But I noticed like you play a range of beats. Same thing like I said to Truce as well. Like, what producers do you like and what do you play? Because I noticed you play a range, like a D-Pass, some of it new disco-y as well. Like, you keep them on their feet.
For me, the sound, like a lot of people send me tracks and they say, and I say, it's not my sound. Yeah. And I think a lot of them feel that I'm just saying that because I don't want to play their tracks or whatever. Yeah. But I don't care who made the track. If I listen to a track and I like it, I don't care who made it. I'm playing it. Yeah. So there isn't a particular, like for me, my favourite producer is probably Conrad Black. Yeah. I like a bit of Tim Green, a bit of Matt Walsh. So there's guys, majority of these guys, majority of the DJs, they don't play these sort of sounds because it's a lot after hours. These sort of sound very trippy, very sort of dark. Yeah. So that is my niche there. That are very sort of dark and dubby sounding.
Yeah. But saying that as well, the 2014 Majesty is different to the old school Majesty, like 2011. So you had a sort of light, soulfully sort of sound. Sounds a soulful lot. See,
to say soulful, like all my CDs are there, innit? Yeah. For you to listen to. So if you go back and you listen to them, there is all my CDs are set up in a very similar way
Yeah.
So if you listen to it, I can even break it down for you and go through it. And all the CDs are set up in the same way.
Yeah.
It will start off in the beginning. There'll be a couple of vocals.
Yeah.
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 Break you in that way.
Yeah.
Then you get a couple of instrumentals. Then you have a couple more vocals to sprinkle and break it up.
Yeah.
And then you go into the darker stuff, into the beats.
Yeah.
So it's more of a journey. It's always been that way. So if you go back, even though you say it was a bit soulful, maybe it was, but you got to evolve.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because to be kind of fair, like you did mention WB's and he's made vocal songs as well that sound soulful. Like, do you know what? It's just, to me, it's a hybrid. House's music, innit? So, like, he's not necessarily a soulful producer, but he's done vocals, and it's like, and I heard new disco songs that with vocals. It don't necessarily mean they're soulful, but it's what they call it, innit? Really. But no, I've seen how your sound has evolved, and yeah, like you can expect a lot of big things from that sound as well. But what would you define that sound?
When you say define it, like,
you see, when you say define, it's like for myself, I wouldn't call myself a minimal tech DJ, because if I was to ask someone define minimal tech, I don't know if they would even have the answers. Like, you get me? It's just two different genres. I'll call myself a hybrid DJ, because that consists of deep house, minimal, and techno. You get me? I don't go on there thinking I play this at that.
So I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I don't, to be honest, I don't like to pigeonhole myself and say, like, this is exactly what I play. Yeah. But generally, I've never, like, there is some DJs that organise their set prior. Yeah. I just go in and whatever comes to my head at that time, I'll just play it. Obviously, it's going to transcend and it's going to blend well. I'll think about what tune mixes well with it, blah blah blah. But it's not preset. So I will play a bit of techno, a lot of deep house, some housey stuff, some like tech house, some minimal. So it depends. It just depends on the vibe, where I am, like the vibe I'm feeding off the crowd. So it generally depends on the crowd anyway. So that's it. I wouldn't say I'm pigeonholed, but it is all under the bracket of house music. Or you could say dance music. So
there you go. It's all music. So like, to wrap up this interview, what is the future plans for Majesty, Siesta, Audiowhore Records? Like, you're doing everything right now. So, like, what would you like leave this interview like with final mark?
To be honest, the main thing that we're planning to do is we're just gonna grow. So obviously we've got IP in September.
At Audiowhore. Rah, good luck. Definitely a good look. I'll be attending.
Sankeys. So it's not like we're in some, backstreet club. We're in a decent branded club. Obviously we've got a little mini festival that we're doing in July, and then we've got another Audiowhore that we're doing alongside Found and Eastern Electrics. So we've got a lot of stuff that we're doing, man. So just keep it low key.
Majesty the businessman is like set.
I should hope so.
Trying to be. Yeah, I know, it's all graft. So about the DJ side then, so what are you going to be doing for the DJ producing side?
The DJ and production side, obviously I've got, my workload is like, I'm snowed under. So just working through the workload, I've got a lot of remixes. I'm doing a remix to the next thing I'll probably do. I've got a release that I need to do for another label. I need to get that out of the way. Once I get that out of the way, then I'll work on doing a remix for DVA, Scratcher that I'm leaving on a jet plane. Then I did the remix for Tainted Souls. I've got to do a remix for THEO. Got to do something for. There's loads of little bits and bobs, a lot of little labels that have asked me to do this. Then I've got to do. I've got a little commercial thing for the Overground that I'm working on. That should be coming out soon at some point. All different directions, mate.
The only way is up, mate, and it's looking very good for Audiowhore.